Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Med School Minutes podcast, where we discuss what it takes to attend and successfully complete a medical program. This show is brought to you by St. James School of Medicine. Here is your host, Kaushik Guha.
Welcome to another episode of Med School Minutes, where we talk about everything MD related with the focus on IMGs, or International Medical Graduates. Today we're going to be talking a little bit about the island life. A lot of students have reached out to us asking us to tell them what it is like to go to the island. I know with COVID, it's been harder to get to the island, so a lot of the students are making their way for the first time when they're in MD2, 3. In some cases even MD4, so it is a little nerve-wracking. So we thought we'd spend some time and talking about what the island, living on the island is like, what to look forward to, what not to look forward to. And for that, I have two wonderful guests. I have Dr. Jose Ramirez, who's been with us on the show previously. He is the Assistant Clinical Dean at St. James School of Medicine. He's also a licensed surgeon in several countries. I'm just not going to list them out. But, and we also have DeJuan Kinchelow, who was the president of the student government organization when he was in Saint Vincent. Right now, he works as a student counselor at St. James School of Medicine. And he is applying for the match this year. And things are looking great for him. So we thought we'd pick his brain a little bit about what island life is. So DeJuan spent a lot of his time in St. Vincent. Dr. Ramirez spent a lot of time in Anguilla. So Dr. Ramirez, let me start with you. You're obviously an extremely well-traveled person. You've stayed in multiple countries. You started off, obviously, in Venezuela. Then you spent a bunch of years in Spain. Mm-hmm. And then you spent a bunch of time in Anguilla.
Yeah.
Are there is there any other country I'm missing here?
I work in Montserrat. I spent some time in Antigua.
All right. So at least 6 countries. That's far more than the average human being travels to. So in your experience, when you first moved, so you have the unique experience of actually moving and acclimatizing to Anguilla, and now you're doing the same thing here in the U.S. You just moved to the United States at the end of last year. Yeah. So it's a relatively new move. You would have a fantastic perspective about what it is like to getting used to life in the U.S. versus what it is like to getting used to life in Anguilla. Would you shed some light on that?
Yeah, of course. And it's funny because when you get your mindset to live in the Caribbean, and specifically in a small island like, but lovely, as Anguilla, the transition is tough related to person to person, how do I say, like the communities. For example, when you're in an island country that is 14,000 people, basically in 5 years, you know everybody.
Wow. Okay.
Everybody. And me working at the hospital even more, having contact with government people, etc., working at the school there. And it's impressive because I was arriving from 2 big countries, Venezuela and Spain, and nobody there cares about you. So you enter in an elevator and nobody will tell you good morning, how you doing? Nothing. On the islands, it's different. If you don't say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everybody, even in the supermarket, even that you don't know them, they will get offended.
That sounds great.
No, I love it. And now people sees me here as a crazy person because I'm, hey, how you doing? Waving to everybody. Hey, what's wrong with the little Mexican? You know? And it's a thing that I love about the Caribbean.
Okay.
Obviously, it depends on I think it happened to you, the one about the size of the island. When you were in a bigger island with a bigger population, and I think it's a little bit different over there.
Yeah. Just to quickly, before DeJuan jump in, I want to give a little bit of context. Anguilla is an island of 14,000?
Yeah, around that. In a good day.
You can drive from one end of the island to the other in about 25 minutes.
Let's put 30 with traffic.
All right, 30 with the one other car that might be in existence on the street. Very laid-back lifestyle, beautiful. Anguilla consistently has 3 of the top 10 beaches in the world on a regular basis. It's a haven for celebrities. Almost every celebrity seems to have a house in Anguilla, not around Anguilla, but definitely in Anguilla. Very easy to get to. St. Vincent, on the other hand, is a much bigger island. It's almost like a smaller U.S. city, I would like to say, or is that exaggeration?
It's a little bit of an exaggeration.
Okay.
You definitely don't have the same kind of everybody knows everybody you have in Anguilla, but you still have like little areas where everybody tends to know each other, and you
Right.
get the hello to all of your neighbors and people you pass on the street, and then other people who just don't really care that you're there. So
Right.
kind of a combination of small U.S. city and Anguilla at the same
Okay.
time.
So what's the population of St. Vincent, roughly, like give or take? I think it's around 150,000-ish.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I think something like that, because it's about 2 or 3 times even the size of Anguilla.
I
Okay.
think 5
4.
times.
Yeah, it's 5 times.
Is it 5? Yeah.
Like 4 times. It's a
Yeah,
big island.
It's a big island. I mean, and the unique thing that I see, the difference for me from an outsider, I've visited both islands, but as an outsider, Anguilla, their primary economy is tourism. It doesn't seem like they actually produce anything, or they might have some other allied economic industries, but by far the predominant industry is tourism. Whereas St. Vincent, it seems like they actually have a very thriving agricultural economic backbone. And they have pockets that you would see in other, larger cities in the United States, like certain bad areas, certain good areas, and stuff like that. So with that, why don't you just tell us what was the most shocking things to you when you landed up on the island?
So for me, going to St. Vincent in 2017, the most shocking thing was just the difference in the pace of life there. In the U.S., you're kind of used to instant gratification, getting things when you want. You go to a restaurant, the waiter, waitresses are so excited to see you because it's money for them. On the island, that is not the case. People like to move a little bit slower and they're not in a rush to get things done. And sometimes you'd go to a restaurant and you'd think they'd be excited that you're there. They have somebody to attend to at that point. But a lot of people actually will give you an attitude for showing up because they are, now they have to do something, which honestly, a lot of people were offended at. I thought it was kind of funny.
Okay.
Just because it's like, all right, well, I am in your space. I'm here. Please bring me food. That would be great. Take your time, no rush.
I'm paying you guys for sure.
So you just kind of get used to the fact that everything moves a little bit slower. One funny story that happened to me at a supermarket, I was buying condoms and the clerk at the time had just said to me, "Oh, you're a freak." And I was like, wait a minute. First and foremost, like, this is a very normal thing to do. Like, buying condoms, protection from STDs and pregnancy, etc. And then to be called out by the clerk, like, it's already an awkward experience as is. And to be called out, I was just like, this would never happen in America. So that was another huge culture shock when that happened. I was just like, I'm going to find a different store and maybe try again. It happened pretty much everywhere. So
Okay.
I can imagine. Please bring 5 condoms to the front desk for the guy with the dreadlocks. Please. And obviously in the supermarket in front of the school.
That is hilarious. So it almost seems like there are a different set of cultural norms, despite you guys speak, or like all these islands speak the same language as the U.S. The pop culture is predominantly American. Would you say that?
yeah.
With the TV shows and just general,
A little
actors.
bit of the Caribbean soca.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of local artists in
Okay.
St. Vincent. Skinny Fabulous is like a very big name,
Okay.
both on St. Vincent and around the SoCo community. So,
Okay. So keeping all that in mind, despite the similarities, there seem to be some like, for example, I'm originally from India. If I go to India, I'm not going to expect that kind of judgment from, for my purchases. it's kind of an unwritten law. I think in most big cities, like you, Dr. Ramirez, you're from Spain, Venezuela, you won't expect that in a bigger city, but it seems like in the Caribbean, I mean, is this the same thing in Anguilla? Is Anguilla like that too?
Yeah, because the issue is that everybody knows everybody.
Oh, wow.
That's the thing.
Yep.
And
Okay.
you try to keep everything in secret, but you don't know if the person is next to you knows you, and it goes like, oh, that person was doing this here. But it's a little bit of normal gossip in every small
Right,
community, but it's not a big deal.
Right.
For students, it's not a problem. The issue is that everybody on the islands, in both islands, knows that you are a med student. That's the only thing,
Okay.
good and bad.
Okay. But as far as DeJuan just pointed out that on the island in St. Vincent, I mean, hospitality seems to be less of a priority, where if you show up for like during lunchtime, people are upset about it. I can't imagine Anguilla being like that because so tourism focused.
In the high season, restaurants are open since 8 o'clock in the morning, some of them 7 o'clock in the morning until 11 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
During the low season, yes, you will see that the restaurant will close the kitchen around 3 to reopen 5-ish, because they know that during that time people is going back from the beaches to their houses, whatever, to get ready for dinner. But in general, in the high season in Anguilla is amazing. Amazing. All the restaurants are open, all the bars. There's always activities. It's amazing. And as you say, you're sitting on the beach and suddenly you have Justin Bieber next to you.
Oh, wow,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah. Oh, Adele. Adele was before, I think it was before COVID, just before COVID. It was Adele, the guy from the night show, the blonde guy, kind of the British blonde guy. I don't remember his name.
I mean,
One of those shows, the late night show with late night.
John Oliver?
No, the other, James Corden.
Yeah.
Oh, James Gordon. Yeah. The singer.
The singer, yeah.
Yeah.
He was with Adele and the other British singer that is super popular right now. The three of them there.
Yeah.
Okay.
LeBron James was there in like 2018,
No,
right
and
after I left.
No, and he went there for during COVID.
Again
with another three team members. So you have a lot of people there. And it's like, then they love Anguilla because it's so calm that nobody's going to, can I have an autograph, whatever this is? Nobody. Everybody say, oh, LeBron, nice job, man. You did amazing.
Apparently,
That's it.
paparazzi are banned from the island of Anguilla, so there's a lot of celebrities that get land there and whatnot. So that is a pro of Anguilla. You always have the possibility of running into a celebrity at any random moment.
Okay.
Just don't spam them with questions and whatnot, because paparazzi is illegal there, and they're there to get away from that.
I have my picture with from the Tonight Show with Jimmy
Fallon?
With Jimmy Fallon, yeah, and the Four Seasons. I went there to buy sushi one night, and he was there. I was with some friends. Hey, can we take a picture with you? Yeah, sure, guys. He was wasted, but it was fun. Really cool guy. But that's the type of thing that happens in Anguilla.
Wow. So what about St. Vincent? So St. Vincent, as I mentioned, is a bigger island. The island in which our campus is in is the commercial center. But the whole island is called St. Vincent and the Grenadines. What are the Grenadines?
So the Grenadines is just a string of islands, some inhabited, some not. I think most of them are actually, but Beckway is the main one that a lot of our students will go to. There's a ferry for super cheap that goes between the main island of St. Vincent and there. A lot of students like to go here, like post block exams and, party or get an Airbnb and just enjoy a beautiful view on top of a mountain. So I know there's also like the Tobago Cays, some other one. I think the Tobago Cays, people go and like swim with turtles and get a look at those. And then there's some other private islands that you have to know somebody to get into, but some people make friends on the island with the local people and get invited to those places.
Oh, nice.
I unfortunately was not, so I can't speak on that one.
That's because I bet you were studying your ass off for the exams, because with your scores, a match is definitely going to happen for sure.
Let's hope.
I'm pretty sure. As far as celebrity sightings, is that even a thing in St. Vincent? Do you?
No.
Don't be like that. People go to those
yeah.
to the Grenadines, and there is like
Exactly.
some areas that are beautiful. That
Yeah. So
only,
some
only
of those
celebrities go there.
From what I hear, some of those private islands are actually owned by celebrities because of the seclusion.
That's what I was going to say, is that you might not run into the celebrities, but the ones that are there are usually on those kind of more private islands.
Okay.
Some own, like you said, some just vacation home there. But in general, on the main island of St. Vincent, you're usually not running into celebrities as much, unfortunately.
So tell me this much. Let's fast forward, let's say 5 years, 10 years down the road. You finished your residency. You're, well established as a physician of your choice. Would you go back to St. Vincent?
Absolutely.
And would you vacation there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I was actually looking to try and do a post-match trip back there, but it's expensive getting there, so I'll wait till attending money for that. But I love the yacht club. There's a whole stretch of hotels where like a bunch of people park their yachts and whatnot. Absolutely beautiful area, great restaurants, great hotels. I would 150% go back given the opportunity.
Oh, okay. Well, that's awesome. So tell me more, like St. Vincent was in the news a lot end of last year because of a volcano erupting. Again, from Western media, it looks like a national travesty that happened and, life just came to a complete standstill. However, when we were dealing with folks on the island and even the campus, it wasn't a big deal to them. They literally went out to their balconies, took pictures of this amazing volcano eruption, and there was just a whole slew of scientific and geographical phenomena that comes with hot ash being spewed up in the air, and it's a whole different level of beauty. But my point is that the city didn't really shut down. Things worked the way they were supposed to work, or as best as they work in St. Vincent. And most of the people were like, yeah, so what? It's just a volcano and it's on the other side of the island. I'm on this side, so I'm safe.
Yeah, that was the big thing, is the volcanoes in like the northeast part of the island, whereas the school's more like southwest. So most of where the school was just ash, like just covered in ash, no volcano or anything like magma where their lives were at risk. So yeah, a lot of people just, as it was going off, went outside and they're just sweeping off their cars and areas and whatnot, just continuing business as usual. So, it wasn't active until it went off last year, but in general, it doesn't cause too many issues, at least where our school is, because it's so far away.
Right. And I know you're into hiking a lot. I believe St. Vincent seems to be a hiker's paradise. Is that right?
Yeah, hiking that volcano is a really beautiful experience. There's multiple paths. The short path and the long path is the main two we refer to. Short is very steep and it's just stairs the whole way up. The long path is not as much stairs and takes about an hour longer. At the top, there's like a giant crater which you can actually climb down into.
Okay.
I never got to, unfortunately, but it is a hiker's paradise going in there and just hiking the volcano, which until last year wasn't active, but I do believe they've already started letting people go back up the volcano. So
no, that's what I heard too. I heard you can actually go in and see a pool of lava and stuff like that. Oh my God, that sounds amazing. From my understanding, the only place where you can see lava up close like that was the Galapagos, but now it seems like you have St. Vincent too. So when you moved there, from general creature comforts that you experienced in the United States, what was the most shocking for you?
So the most shocking for me, and I think this is actually the same for Anguilla, is that the grocery stores restock in a very odd way.
Okay.
They just get whatever shipped they get in. So if you see something in the grocery store that you want to buy it, because there is no guarantee that they will have it ever again, or if they do get it again, when they will get it. So that was advice that was given to me. I didn't take it seriously until I got down there. And then, one day I see something and I'm like, oh, you know what? I'll wait till tomorrow. I can't justify it today. Go back. It's gone. And I never saw it again in my 2 years there. So if you see something, buy it, because it is a gamble of what you're going to see in the grocery store every time you go there.
That's a reality of the Caribbean. Same in Anguilla.
Yeah.
We know that food arrives on Wednesdays,
Yeah.
so you need to go to the supermarket to see if your stuff arrived. But usually, if you know some people in the supermarket, the managers, whatever, hey, can you put this in the list? I'm not buying like 20 cases, but I know people that will buy this, and they will try their best to try to get your stuff.
Oh, well, I think those are the joys of being in it. I can only imagine going to the Marianos here.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, can you put aside,
Who are you?
20? Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And what about like general infrastructure? Like, are the houses American standard in the St. Vincent?
Generally speaking, I would say yeah.
Okay.
It's not central air in that you have just a
Unit, wall unit.
thermostat or whatever,
Okay.
but they have a lot of the outpouching air conditioning units that pretty much everywhere outside of America still has. So, but as far as infrastructure, like most of the buildings were finished, they were up to par. St. Vincent doesn't get a lot of hurricanes, but the few winter storms they do have, like the houses are never destroyed by anything down there. So they're really well built. Actually, they may take some time to build them, but they build them well one time.
No, and what about Anguilla? Is the infrastructure? You've been to St. Vincent as well, so do you think it's better?
No, both are the same quality.
Okay.
Hurricane proof.
Okay.
Really, everything is concrete blocks. Really like hard stuff. Is you won't see any dry walls, nothing like that.
Yeah.
That you're safe in a house in Anguilla or anywhere in the Caribbean.
Okay.
They're really strong houses. They know how to build.
Well, that's awesome. What about safety in St. Vincent? I know that's been a big topic of concern for some of the students over there.
So I say this to anyone everywhere. Don't go out at night alone. It does not matter what country you're in. St. Vincent isn't excessively dangerous, but if you're going to go out at night, go out in a group. It's a foreign country that you don't live in. Even a lot of people don't go out in their own countries of origin at night alone. Don't do it in a different country. It's not that it's excessively unsafe, but you are putting yourself in an unnecessary risk at that point. So,
right. So it's just like any other bigger town where you have pockets that are not safe, pockets that are safe. I mean, I've visited St. Vincent, again, short trips, but it almost seems like, after 7 or 8, you should be back home. You shouldn't be out there on the street, maybe on a Friday night, Saturday night. Again, if you're in a group, it makes sense. But it's not like, say, the city of Chicago, where you have a vibrant nightlife and everything's open till 5 a.m. It's definitely not like that. Or am I mistaken?
I mean, things are open till about like 2-3 in the morning. They do like to party down there. It is a louder place. There's usually a lot of things going on, but again, it's just one of those, don't do it alone. As long as you have somebody to kind of know where you're at and see you at all times, you're generally pretty safe. Like, I went out alone and didn't have issues. I don't recommend that because obviously I put myself at a risk, but no, I never had issues. I know more so it's females that are having the issues, but same as in America, in Europe, or any other country, buddy system for your own safety.
Okay. That's awesome. What about Anguilla? Is Anguilla a safe place?
Well, I spent 5 years without locking my door.
Okay.
5 years without locking my car.
Oh, wow.
Worst case scenario that could happen there is that you left your purse, your wallet, and it's showing money, and probably a kid is walking by and take that.
Okay.
But for sure, in 2 hours, the mother of that kid will bring that kid holding the kid's ear. You need to bring back the money. It's a really safe place. Remember, it's 14,000 people. There is a certain level of, as you said, don't go alone anywhere. Even that it's a super safe place, and everybody knows everybody. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
Right.
Okay, but in general, I think that from a female point of view, for the females, it's really safe.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about nightlife? I know we heard from DeJuan, I need some pointers next time when I go to St. Vincent about like nightlife in St. Vincent. But what about Anguilla? Anguilla is like so close to St. Martin. It's got to have a bustling nightlife, does it? Or
before COVID, the students during the block, after the blocks, used to go to St. Martin to party.
Okay.
Because let's face it, St. Martin is Las Vegas of the Caribbean.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, the casinos, you have amazing nightlife.
Okay.
You have 183 nationalities living there.
No way.
Everybody's living there, so you can find anybody from any country there.
That's crazy.
And when you go to an Italian restaurant, it's an Italian guy cooking. You go to a Nigerian restaurant, it's going to be a Nigerian guy cooking there. Mexican is going to be a Mexican guy, just like that.
Okay.
Anguilla has its own beauty. It's a really, as you say, laid-back island, and the bars are the same. People is just chilling.
Okay.
Right now, they open like a nightclub, club, and it's more a hip-hop vibe. I like it a lot. It's bigger. It has VIP rooms, so it's like kind of fancy, but at the same time down to earth. So it's really nice, and you have the big hotels, amazing views for the afternoons, and the best part is that you can go to any bar on flip-flops, shorts, and a t-shirt, grab your beer, just walk to the water. That I won't change that for anything in this world. Period.
Well, welcome to Chicago. That's not going to happen here.
That's lovely yesterday walking on the snow.
Well, so Dr. Ramirez, you mentioned this place called the Vegas of the Caribbean, which is St. Martin.
Yeah.
Do tell more about that.
No, it's a fun place, and it's usually...
How far is it from Anguilla?
15 in a flight, 5 minutes. You take an airplane in Anguilla, you can go there in 5 minutes. You can take the ferry, of course. You can have the fast ferry, that is a private company, or you can take the public, what they call the public, because it's like a bus, a big ferry, and it's going to take around 20-25 minutes to get there, probably less.
Are you
in a fast boat is going to be 15 minutes.
So that's literally like me getting out of my suburban office and taking a public bus to downtown Chicago.
That will take longer.
Yes, that will probably take longer.
It will take an hour and a half for you to get in a bus from here to downtown.
That's great. So that means people can actually live in Anguilla and choose to do all their shopping and recreation in St. Martin?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Can you choose to, say, live in St. Martin and commute to Anguilla? I know
there is high schools and elementary schools that do that. They send their kids from Anguilla to St. Martin on daily basis on a specific boat. How you call that? A school boat?
Oh, okay. Not a school boat, not a school bus.
Yeah, and they go to school in St. Martin.
Okay.
Yeah, on daily basis, Monday to Friday.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. And what's the connectivity? Like, is St. Martin easy to get to? Is St. Anguilla easy to get to?
Okay, right now you have flights directly from American Airlines from Florida to Anguilla. Okay, and you always has been like the major airlines going from the United States to St. Martin.
Okay, so is this by Florida? You mean Miami International Airport, or is it some small airport like US?
Miami International Airport, from the big airport in Fort Lauderdale.
Okay, but
also you have flights from New York. You have flights from Atlanta
straight to Anguilla.
Yeah, you have because you have United, you have American Airlines, you have Delta. What else? You have the yellow one. Spirit.
No way. I'm beginning to like celebrities now, finally.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. The one that is cheap, really cool, the blue.
Yeah, wow.
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah.
So I guess celebrities have made some meaningful change, at least to the commute to Anguilla. Minimum. So what about St. Vincent?
Yeah, St. Vincent is a little less fun to get into.
Mm-hmm.
So there are direct flights, usually from Miami, New York City, or Toronto.
Okay.
And they pretty much leave on certain days of the week. I think it's Tuesdays and Wednesdays, but I couldn't tell you which one is which because it's been a while since I've been
I believe right now, because of the pandemic, they've reduced service, so it's just Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense.
So they don't have the Wednesday flight anymore, from my understanding.
The other option, which ends up being a lot cheaper for a lot of people, and what I myself personally did a lot, is flying into either Trinidad and Tobago or to Barbados, are two really close islands. Flying into there, and then you just catch like a 1 hour connection flight. That's pretty easy. You get those little propeller planes that you see on TV that like pretty much aren't used anywhere outside of the Caribbean anymore. But that one is a cheaper option for a lot of our students that might be financially strapped. But you usually will end up with fairly long wait times. I think the longest layover I had there was 16 hours, and the shortest one I had was 6. So
wait, the shortest wait time was 6?
Shortest was a 6-hour layover. So it's not the best way to get to and from the island, but it is a cheaper option. And especially if you don't live in New York, Miami, or Toronto, or Toronto, I guess, as they say. Yeah, they don't pronounce the T. If you live in one of those places, it's way more convenient getting to St. Vincent. But anywhere else, you can also try just flying to those places and catching direct.
But I think it's a thing of the Caribbean. If you try to travel inside the Caribbean, I think it's cheaper and wiser just to go from that specific country to Florida and then go down again. You're going to be happier. You're going to be happier.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So, but let's chalk off those crazy layovers to character building experiences and a part of your education. So
yeah, no, I mean, I definitely grew during those times, sleeping outside of the checkout line with my on my suitcase. It's great times, great times. No That's carpet awesome. Or anything, just
those are stories that you need to regale your patients with at a later date.
Yeah.
So as far as cost is concerned, like on the face of it, it seems like St. Vincent seems to be a lot cheaper than Anguilla. Anguilla seems to, because it's so driven by tourism, they have $1-to-1 purchasing power parity with the US. It seems like whatever costs $1 here in Anguilla, if anything, I think it's a little more expensive. Whereas in St. Vincent, I find that exactly different. However, what I have noticed from my own experience is that you go to a city, the stuff might be like, to purchase bread and food might be more expensive, but then all of a sudden you realize that your real estate costs are making up because it's so much cheaper to actually live there, because that's why everything else is so expensive. Can you shed some light of that in with regard to St. Vincent? Is that the case in St. Vincent? Is anything cheap? Is anything super expensive?
Yeah, so in St. Vincent, they use the Eastern Caribbean dollar. Every price is in Eastern Caribbean. I know Anguilla, they also include like US dollar prices on things. So you get the conversion already, but in St. Vincent, everything's in Eastern Caribbean, which ends up usually being a lot cheaper. Rent down there, I think most of the students were paying $500 or less a month.
Wow, that's amazing.
So it's pretty cheap. The places come fully furnished and whatnot. A lot of people would even think about getting roommates to even offset even more costs.
Wait, so $500 is for one person for an entire apartment?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. That's a good price.
Yeah. And then if you start getting like 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms kind of things, you can even get the same price, but more out of it. A bigger house, a bigger apartment, especially if the people living there are willing to pay $300, $400, $500 a person. So your money actually gets you pretty far in the real estate. Food and whatnot, if you do the actual conversions, ends up being around what you would pay in the US. So it's not exactly the cheapest. It always seems cheaper just because you're like, oh, I'm not spending US dollars. I'm spending Monopoly money. Like, dollar is a coin. Okay, let me just throw a couple of these coins out there. But ultimately it's pretty cheap. And then even traveling down there, buying a car is extremely expensive.
Really?
So most students don't do that, but they have these things called dollar vans. So it's their form of public transit that just kind of runs from one side of the island to the other on a set schedule. You just sit around wherever they pick you up. You get in, and when you hop off, you give them $1 EC dollar, which is just a coin, and you're good to go. So it's super easy to get around down there without a car, actually. So that also offsets a lot of the cost of living down there.
Just for reference, $2 and $1 is equal to $2.70 EC dollars, 2.7 EC dollars. Just so if anyone's interested. What about Anguilla?
Anguilla, it depends. The more money you have, the more money you want to spend, right? So you have the whole spectrum. If you want to rent a room for 200, you will find it, but be aware what you will find. Okay.
But what would a $200 apartment get you?
No, it's not an apartment. It's a room in somebody's house.
Okay, I got it.
That's a total.
Okay.
All right. So basically, I think the average of an apartment over there, it depends what it has. Some apartments has pool. Some apartments has certain perks that are really amazing. And remember, right now here in the United States, I think that you can find an apartment for $1,200, $1,400, and probably get a little pool, a little gym, some things are really nice. And it's going to be probably a 1-room, 2-room, 1-bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
In Anguilla, with that money, you can get a really nice place, extremely nice. Okay?
Okay.
So if you want to save money, obviously you want to find a roommate. Be careful with that, because I heard like crazy stuff. No, because you don't know this person. It's like in college, the same, right? It happens the same, that you end up with this crazy person living in the same room as you, and you say, "What the hell happened here?" Just be aware of that, and that's it. And also remember that the law that applies for St. Vincent as well as Anguilla is different than the law in America.
Okay.
It's another law.
Is there anything that's crazy egregious as far as the law is concerned that you would not even think that it was a quote unquote crime here in the U.S.?
Yeah.
Is there something like that in Anguilla?
They have laws that when they don't have a specific law, that law do not exist. They go and take the law from the UK.
Okay.
They follow the same law as the UK, especially in Anguilla. Anguilla is still under the protection of the UK.
Right.
So anything that is not in their constitution is going to end up in the courts.
Right. So has there been any crazy convictions? I mean, it seems like Anguilla generally is very friendly towards foreigners, and
we have that horrible case a couple of years ago with the tourists and the local in a hotel. I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah, and but the law there is really strict.
Restricted for
Yeah, so if you behave in a good way, like you can go to your restaurants and have your beer or whatever, and just behave, you won't have any issues.
Right. I think that
applies to everywhere in the world.
Any person who's traveled should probably know that.
Yeah.
What about you, DeJuan? Do you think that there's any particular laws in St. Vincent that are particularly egregious that we as Americans would, think that it just doesn't make any sense?
Let's see. Top of my head is driving on the left side of the road. Same thing for Anguilla. I think for St. Vincent, it's not necessarily any weird laws so much as their cops don't work. They do work. I can't say they don't work. It's just it feels like you don't really see them very often, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially considering most people are studying or doing whatever and don't need to be getting arrested for anything. But I mean, like I've seen nothing too crazy, but just seen some times where I'm like, in America, I could guarantee somebody would call the cops, and on the island, it's just like, yeah.
What about purchasing cars? In Anguilla, I noticed that most of the students have cars.
Yeah, the problem that we have in Anguilla, there is no public transportation.
Okay.
Although the school provides a bus system service free for the first semester, and then you pay a fee every semester until you leave. But usually students, what they do, they buy cars. Mm-hmm. It's easier to go around with a car than trying to pay taxis all over or wait for somebody to give you a lift to go anywhere. Okay. Cars, it depends on what you want. A brand new car, a small car, I'm talking about like a Suzuki Swift, I don't know what model could be like that here in the United States. All these cars are coming from Japan.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, I want to be
Yeah.
really specific.
A Suzuki Swift, I think, with the closest comparison would be a Toyota Yaris. Those really
yeah,
tiny hatchbacks.
something like that. And that car, brand new is 2012.
Oh, okay.
And you're going to pay at least $6,000. What a lot of students do before going there, they check the SGA and hey, do you have a car to sell? Yes, and they can find a car for $1,000.
Okay.
That is going to last 5 semesters. Amazing deal.
All right. So it seems like a lot of students, since they own cars, there's also a lot of students looking to get rid of cars too. So there is a vibrant student market, if you will. Okay. That's good to know. One thing I do want to touch upon is food. I mean, that's one of the things that we haven't covered. And I know people in Anguilla are going to hate me for this, but I like St. Vincent food a lot more than I like Anguilla food.
I could see that.
I feel and my reasoning for this is that Anguilla is very geared towards American tourists. So if I go to fancy restaurants in Chicago out here, I will get the same food in Anguilla. Whereas in St. Vincent, I actually feel like I'm getting a local flavor, a local touch of things. I've had things like lionfish. I've had stuff that somebody is grilling lobsters during lobster season in St. Vincent. They're just selling it and you ask for it and they just cut it open and grill it for you on the street side and just give it to you. That's something I truly don't see or I have completely missed in Anguilla. Anguilla is all about really fancy restaurants, sit down. There are some markets where you can go and get street food, which are great, but they're few and far between.
Yeah.
Whereas St. Vincent, I feel like even the fancier restaurants, they have buffets different times of the week. Their food is, they seem to incorporate so much of local culture and island culture in it, whereas I think in Anguilla, you'll find more French food, sushi, and this and that. Whereas, to put it mildly, I can find a callaloo soup much more easily in St. Vincent than I can find it in Anguilla.
I never heard about that.
Every place in St. Vincent has callaloo soup. Everywhere has
I know.
callaloo soup. Yeah.
I know, and that's what
You
I
can
mean.
get callaloo soup on the corner of the street. Just some dude's just like, I got a big old pot of callaloo soup.
I know.
Come and get it. All right, cool.
But that's what I mean. That like local flavor seems to be there. But that's my take. What's your take on St. Vincent cuisine, like compared to American food?
So I spent a very brief time in Anguilla, and I would say that I agree with that. Anguilla making money off tourists, they Americanize their food a lot more. But St. Vincent, their food is heavily influenced by Caribbean. So you have a lot of like jerk chicken, jerk pork, like a lot of jerk seasoning, callaloo soup, thing like that. And then the other big influence is Indian culture, because a lot of Indians were taken over there long ago. So those are the kind of big two, and you have a lot of places that will actually kind of combine both of those influences. So you get your own unique kind of like St. Vincent taste, whereas there's not too many tourists on the main island, so you don't get a lot of Americanized food. And the only American restaurants we have there are Subway and KFC. And even those menus, or at least the KFC menu, is different in St. Vincent than you have in America.
Okay.
So
what's an example?
They have this sandwich called the Zinger.
Okay.
On the island, I still ate meat, so I had it a lot. Here, I don't think they even sell it. It was one of those things I was like, I had never heard of it until I went down there, and I just fell in love with it because it was so different. I know a couple friends I had from New York, they said that they were able to get it, and they were like, it's not the same. Like, it tastes disgusting in America. It's not the same thing. Like, I want to go back.
Yeah, that's what people say, that in the Caribbean, Kentucky Fried Chicken is the best chicken in the world.
Yeah.
Because they put local spices of that introduction from Asia, from India into the food. Even these big chains, they will have those different flavors. That is amazing.
And it's locally grown chicken, They got plenty of chickens running around in St. Vincent.
So in Anguilla, do they have any large chain restaurants?
They used to be a Subway, but no longer there. Right now, what you can have is local food. We have something called the Strip. that we have our local McDonald's. That is going to be a whole rack of ribs and a Johnny cake or 2 Johnny cakes for $7.
Okay.
So that's a whole meal.
We need to tell our viewers what Johnny cakes are.
Oh, Johnny cake is basically a round cake made of spices and dough.
Okay.
Water, salt, dough,
Okay.
and spices. And you can have it in the oven or deep fry.
Okay. So it almost sounds like a savory donut.
Yeah,
Okay.
something like that. And you can mix it, oh my God, with barbecue chicken. Oof.
Everything. Mix that with anything.
With everything.
You guys are making me hungry.
Yeah. I feel like a Heineken, Johnny cake, and the whole rack of ribs. That's my favorite thing on a Friday afternoon. Just to start the Friday.
And mind you, ladies and gentlemen, listening in on this, he said Friday afternoon. It wasn't even evening. It was afternoon.
4
That's the
p.m.
Caribbean lifestyle for
4
you guys.
p.m.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This has been extremely informative. I do hope that our viewers got a lot out of it to have a clear idea of what's going on the islands. There is a lot of information out there, but there's nothing like firsthand information for people who've lived there and experienced the lifestyle. Every country has both pros and cons. Even in the United States, there's a ton of pros, there's a ton of cons. But, if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade. So if you end up in St. Vincent or Anguilla or any other Caribbean island for that matter, treat it like DeJuan did, as a learning experience. Cherish these memories, because this is going to be a part of your being. This is going to be a part of your life fabric. So make the most of it. And, thank you for tuning in. And please remember, there is no shortcut to becoming a doctor.
Thank you so much for tuning into our show. We hope you enjoyed another episode of Med School Minutes. If you like our content, please follow us and receive notification when a new show is posted. This podcast is brought to you by St. James School of Medicine. For a video version of this podcast, please check us out on sjsm.org/video.